Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I had them both. I thought it was wireless. My bad. Pedro. Pedro. Garcia. Garcia. Pedro.
2-minute warning.
Good morning, everybody. Please have a seat. It is wonderful to be able to announce not the creation, but at least the filling of one new job. But before we do, I wanted to make a somewhat broader statement about the economy, and Ash is willing to indulge me. Last month, America's businesses created more than 300,000 jobs. Now, this keeps a pace so far this year that we have not seen since the 1990s. So far this year, over the first 11 months of 2014, our economy has created 2.65 million jobs. That's more than in any entire year since the 1990s. Our businesses have now created 10.9 million jobs over the past 57 months in a row, and that's the longest streak of private sector job growth on record. We also know that the pickup in the pace of job growth this year has been in industries with higher wages, and overall wages are rising, a very welcome sign for millions of Americans. So we've got an opportunity to keep up this progress if Congress is willing to keep our government open, avoid self-inflicted wounds, and work together to invest in the things that support faster job growth in high-paying jobs. That means exports, infrastructure, streamlining our tax code, immigration reform, giving minimum wage workers a raise. Now, it's been a long road to recovery from the worst economic crisis in generations, and we still have a lot more work to do to make sure that hardworking Americans' wages are growing faster. But the United States continues to outpace most of the world. Over the last 4 years, we've put more people back to work than Europe, Japan, and all other industrialized advanced countries combined. And we're going to keep at it until every single American who is willing and able to work can find not just any job, but a job that pays a decent wage and allows them to support their families. But it's worth us every once in a while reflecting on the fact that the American economy is making real progress. And if we can continue in this trajectory, if we can continue to grow robustly, and if we make sure that those companies who are seeing profits that are probably higher than any time in the last 60 years, that they're also making sure that their workers are sharing in that growth, then we can get a virtuous cycle that's really going to make a difference and be a critical component of strengthening our national security, because national security starts with a strong economy here at home. Now, I know that some people think that I announce cabinet positions on fake Twitter accounts. This is not the case. A year ago, when Ash Carter completed his tenure as Deputy Secretary of Defense, Secretary Hagel took to the podium in Ash's farewell ceremony and looked out at the audience of our civilian and military leaders. And he said, "I've known Ash Carter for many years. All of us here today have benefited from Ash's hard work, his friendship, from his inspiration, and from his leadership." And Chuck then went on to express his gratitude to his partner for what Ash has done for this country and will continue to do in many ways. Couldn't have said it better myself. Today I'm pleased to announce my nominee to be our next Secretary of Defense, Mr. Ash Carter. Now, with a record of service that has spanned more than 30 years as a public servant, as an advisor, as a scholar, Ash is rightly regarded as one of our nation's foremost national security leaders. As a top member of our Pentagon team for the first 5 years of my presidency, including his 2 years as Deputy Secretary, he was at the table in the Situation Room. He was by my side navigating complex security challenges that we were confronting. I relied on his expertise, and I relied on his judgment. I think it's fair to say that, Ash, in your one-year attempt at retirement from public service, you failed miserably. But I am deeply grateful that you're willing to go back at it. Ash, as some of you know, brings a unique blend of strategic perspective and technical know-how. As a student of history, he understands the United States, and I'm quoting him now, is the single most provider of security in the world, and he played a key role in devising our defense strategy to advance that security. He's also a physicist, which means that he's one of the few people who actually understand how many of our defense systems work. And that has also allowed him to serve with extraordinary breadth and also depth in a whole range of work that we've had to do. In one way or another, Ash has served under 11 Secretaries of Defense. He's an innovator who helped create the program that has dismantled weapons of mass destruction around the world and reduce the threat of nuclear terrorism. He's a reformer who's never been afraid to cancel old or inefficient weapons programs. He knows the Department of Defense inside and out, all of which means that on day one he's going to hit the ground running. Ash is also known by our allies and our friends around the world. Having served both Republican and Democratic secretaries, he's respected and trusted on both sides of the aisle. He's been a close partner with our military leaders, and he's admired by civilian leaders across the department because he's a mentor to so many of them. There's one other quality of Ash's service that I think often gets overlooked, and that is his true regard, his love for the men and women in uniform and their families, his relentless dedication to their safety and well-being. When he cut outdated, unneeded systems, he did it because he was trying to free up money for our troops, to make sure they had the weapons and the gear that they needed and the quality of life for themselves and their families that they deserve. When our troops in Iraq and Afghanistan were struggling to defend against roadside bombs, he moved heaven and earth to rush them new body armor and vehicles. It's no exaggeration to say that there are countless Americans who are alive today in part because of Ash's efforts. When our forces sat down for Thanksgiving dinner far from home, or as our wounded warriors recovered in the hospital, or when our fallen heroes returned to Dover, Ash was there, often on his own time, without any publicity or fanfare. And I know that Ash will be there for them now as Secretary of Defense. We face no shortage of challenges to our national security. Our combat mission in Afghanistan ends this month, and we have to transition to a new mission of advising and assisting Afghan forces and going after remnants of al-Qaeda's core. We have to keep degrading and ultimately destroying ISIL in Iraq and Syria. We have to build counterterrorism partnerships and new platforms. We have to continue the fight against Ebola in West Africa. We have to continue to strengthen our alliances, including NATO, and continue rebalancing our defense posture in the Asia-Pacific. Going forward, our armed forces are necessarily going to need to be leaner. But as Commander-in-Chief, I'm going to make sure that we have a military that is second to none, that continues to be the greatest fighting force in the history of the world. And that means, though, we're going to have to bolster some new capabilities, our cyber defenses, how we deal with our satellites, and how we're adapting our military and investing in new capabilities to meet long-term threats. We're going to have to work with Congress on a more responsible approach to defense spending, including the reforms we need to make the department more efficient. That's how we're going to preserve readiness. That's how we're going to keep faith with our forces and our families. That's how we're going to deliver world-class care to our wounded warriors. And Ash is going to be critical to all these efforts. When we talked about this job, we talked about how we're going to have to make smart choices precisely because there's so many challenges out there. And we're going to have to squeeze everything we have out of the resources that we have in order to be as effective as possible. And I can't think of somebody who's more qualified to do that. And in his career, Ash has been confirmed by the Senate 3 times. If it were entirely up to my dear friend Carl Levin, who's sitting here, I suspect it would happen really quickly because that's the kind of guy Carl is, and Carl, I know, has had a chance to work with Ash in the past. My hope is that in the new Congress we get similar speed and dispatch. By the way, we will miss Carl Levin. I just wanted to mention that. One last piece of critical information that may have tipped the scales in me wanting to promote Ash. Ash is a big Motown fan. And one of his favorites is a classic by the Four Tops, Reach Out, I'll Be There. So Ash, I'm reaching out to you. You have been there for us, our troops, our families, our nation. I also know that he's been there for his lovely wife, Stephanie, sometimes by Skype because he's been traveling, but the sacrifices that Stephanie's been willing to make, this is a team effort, as it is true for our military families, and so we're very grateful to Stephanie. She joined Ash on a lot of those Thanksgiving trips to see our troops and at the bedside of wounded warriors. She knows the sacrifices they're going through. Stephanie, we thank you for your service. We thank Will and Ava, who couldn't be here, but we know that they couldn't be prouder of their dad. And with that, I want to let hopefully our soon-to-be new Secretary of Defense say a few words.
Thank you, Mr. President. And Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, it's an honor and a privilege for me to be nominated for the position of Secretary of Defense. General Scowcroft, my longtime mentor, thank you for being here. And thanks to another longtime mentor, Bill Perry, who can't be here today. And thanks to you, Chairman, and many other friends and colleagues, past and future, for coming out today. I accepted the President's offer to be nominated for Secretary of Defense because of my regard for his leadership. I accepted it because of the seriousness of the strategic challenges we face, but also the bright opportunities that exist for America if we can come together to grab hold of them. And I accepted the offer because of the deep respect and abiding love that Stephanie and I have for our men and women in uniform. As we talked together in the past weeks, Mr. President, we discussed the challenges and the opportunities and the need both to keep America safe and to make a better future for our children. If confirmed in this job, I pledge to you my most candid strategic advice. And I pledge also that you will receive equally candid military advice. And finally, to the greatest fighting force the world has ever known, to you, I pledge to keep faith with you and to serve our nation with the same unflinching dedication that you demonstrate every day.
Good to see you. Whose company are you keeping?
It's on my left.
Doing all right? Hey. Good to see you. Unbelievable work. You're right. You're out there. How you been, man? Here's what you're doing. All right. Good to see you guys. All right. Happy holidays. You're right. I'll see you.
Well, no, I actually work in Baltimore. I'm a graduate Well, we'll make it through for Paul. I love our organization equally, and,
What'd you put out there?
Every year they count on first Saturday after Thanksgiving, they're going to cut the tree and it's a big party.
Tailgate.
Oh, I eat that up with a spoon. I wanted to talk to you about it. I remember when Paige, you or Paige showed me pictures from last year. I'm like, oh my God, that is just. You guys do a bonfire?
You know, I mean, not on an annual basis. I mean,
No, on that day. No.
that's, we go to a Christmas farm. I mean, we've gone to different. We've gone to this same one for the last 5 years. But we tailgate, our cars, whatever. So we don't park in the regular parking lot.
Hot
We
rum and
park like
cider.
out back or whatever. Oh yeah, hot chocolate and
For the kids.
all kinds of other.
Hey Phil, Jim Martin at the White House.
Egg,
I'm good. On White House 4,
just
we have the stakeout.
depending on how cold it is, you take some shots, and that gets you going, and then, we get a tree or whatever, and there's that kind of
There's a camera mic and there's a mic here at the podium. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
It's really cold. You dress.
Yeah, we think we might get an arrival.
Do that for
King George here.
we go to the restaurant. It's 3/4.
Very good. I'll call the desk.
We
Thank
met
you.
at 2, and we were done around 11. No, it's a lot of fun. The thing is,
You like those?
but I mean, there are, the other things we've done.
Hey, Captain Jim Martin over at the
Enough
White
of
House.
us, we get 2 for free.
I'm well, thank you. On Frame Sync
We only have
39,
20-ish.
we have the stakeout up. I think we might get an arrival
So
at the
Thanksgiving, Christmas,
a little
or
right around
breakfast,
11
and then in
o'clock.
the summertime, it's at the beach. It's a bracket.
So they look forward to that. We all
Building blocks for the foundations for like.
traditions. They'll say that's a funny tradition. We did that always. We all look forward to it.
Come down to my level.
Well, thank you for acknowledging our tradition.
Yeah,
We're not alone.
you guys are lucky. My family's dispersed.
The microphone's going to be in the picture. We might as well make it.
Yeah. Well, we might want to just take it out for the arrival, but or pull the mics back for the arrival.
My father's from Nebraska, my mom's from Minnesota, and we all wound up in Pittsburgh. And so we never had the extended cousins thing, except very rarely. And then went to the West Coast, went to Virginia, my sister's in Philly, so I'm here. So when I see people celebrate it, it's endearing. It's a rarity.
It is special. I guess you probably take it for granted when you put it in those groups, but also, and in fact, there's really a period of time there.
Getting started.
Yeah, I mean, we were all spread out and it's early time.
You guys migrated back.
We did over time and
I don't know. Find my partner, man. I don't know that guy. What time is this guy coming? 11?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
They're great. And they will hold the 700. Yeah, if it's a really windy day, it might shake a little bit. It's perfect for running around. I wish I had those when we were on the campaign.
Right?
Because they didn't make them. I got 2 pairs. Yeah. Sure. Perfect. They're light. They're really light. Remember I had the heavy one. Too big. Damn.
Ah. You gonna charge inside? It's crazy, man.
Hey, we want to invite you over. Would you mind cooking dinner for us? It was okay. There was plenty of food. It doesn't matter. We talked a little bit of charcoal.
Pennsylvania.
What's up, JJ?
All along.
CX3, where the fuck is they in?
Come on, you know what
And
it is.
I took it off exactly the way
Throw it on
mistake.
line level. You do Mike?
Yes, Mike.
No, could be line level on Mike.
Yes, so Mike.
Did you?
You never seen them shooting at Mike?
Hey, don't try to get out of it. You screwed up. Jay, what you up to?
My mom on her dying
Honestly, so you know,
Where you going?
Jocko hates it here. I hate it here. I'm out. Jocko, was it something we said?
Look how fast he's running up to Russell.
Never seen him run like that before.
Neil, you're on line 3.
Okay. Yeah, Neil, line 3, coming to you. Line 3. Color bar? Here, I'll just put the stick in. Okay, got it. All right. I'll put bar. Can you hear me? Test, test, test. You got me? Okay, thanks. See you. Bye. My toy camera. I love it. I know, it's light and does everything I want.
You know, by the time you put all that stuff on there, isn't it the same weight? Is it a big camera?
What's it shoot on? SD cards. SD or SY? SD. It's like
February. He's got everything, and then it's a little gap. You know what? It hasn't happened. Are you kidding? Maybe late last month. Yeah. So the first thing I see is
Don't get too close.
What is it?
Okay.
Is it the brothers?
Yeah.
Both of them?
The Pravitti brothers. Yeah.
Hey guys, so what you want to shoot?
Marines. Marines.
That's why I yeah, but don't go in. I don't need it. Thank you, buddy. Thank you.
All right. That's the Pravitti brothers.
And that's a good shot too. I'm smiling and
Yeah,
talking.
that works. That's great. I'll just put that on the little happy tape that I'm gonna make for them.
Pennsylvania?
No, they're two brothers.
Yeah, where are they from?
Orlando, Florida. There's never been two brothers. There's only 4 guys in the whole detail.
And there's never been two brothers.
The sergeant, there's only 4 guys in the whole detail, and 2 of them are brothers. The guy, the shorter one's a sergeant.
What, broadcast service?
So there's only 4 Marines in the detail?
Yeah, and these 2 are brothers, and there's never been, I wanted to do a story on it, but I about this.
From your people?
Yeah.
Tonight is a beer night.
His father, the flight attendant, between war
She lives in all 23.
flying.
She started.
She was dating Kim one of the founders of AOL.
You know, Adrian Fenty is dating Steve Jobs' widow. They're good looking guy.
He's funny. He's Fenty. He's half Italian.
Adrian Fenty is
Yeah, he was at some Italian thing. He was at the Italian something. Yo, he's kind of. Yeah, he's half.
Oh,
white.
I don't want to do with this. What?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Where you going?
Venice, Florence, Rome for just a day, then the cousins, and they live. I've been there twice.
I know.
we'll talk again. You should come over and we'll discuss it today too. Yeah, that's right. You want to go see you? No, you know what? Why don't you come to my house?
How was the rest of it?
We'll open the bar. Let's go get some. Okay, bye.
I could have cried.
Yeah, you were in that.
Ed.
First day on the job?
Was it tilting forward?
You had tiltitis.
Tiltitis?
How about some lamb and beer tonight?
Lamb and beer.
What an Outback tonight. Outback Steakhouse.
Do they have lamb and Outback?
Yep.
Do me a favor. In my honor, get a bloomin' onion and just think of me while you're eating it, because I'm gaining weight just thinking about it. And we went there last night. But
Really? Did you really?
'Cause I took the wife and her daughter before we went to the airport.
Good for Wolfgang. Better pick if you like it.
What's your name, sir? I know.
Microphones are all over in here. Just saying.
I like ignorance, you know. I don't have to worry about any of that. It's like,
No, ABC and NBC, but they weren't working.
yeah.
You couldn't have used it anyway.
Hey, Greg, how'd the McConnell
They're great. Yeah. Great. A lot of women are scared. Exciting stuff. Too bad. Tracy Love. Greta. Cindy Love.
About 20 minutes. I think really the only thing was about the meeting with the president. One thing they felt they could agree on or something. I think it was trade. That was about the.
What do you think this programming is popular?
She kept trying to open the
What were you guys talking about? Which is one that basically, it's kind of like a lost frontier type thing. People are survivor. Yeah. I don't know if that's the name of it.
See, we're already late. Just as I anticipated.
Yeah.
Late.
Security guy just came in the door.
I told him. Yeah.
Too far. Back there doing checking your makeup.
That's usually what happens back there. I haven't seen her people come through the door usually.
If you take your chickens inside in the winter?
Last one has air conditioning for the summertime, all insulated, and electronic security, because he had apparently raccoon probably a couple years ago, lost some girls.
The raccoons are considered survivalists.
Those guys are smart.
They're smart and they are nasty.
Yeah.
I saw Fox up here the other day.
Oh, this is a family. Yeah. Well, I saw one early morning over there, and I ran past the guardhouse and I took the guard. Oh, the family. I saw one run through the White House. I was doing in a live shot in North Lawn.
No
Ran
kidding.
through behind me, scared the crap out of me.
Really?
A big
Ran
one.
down that path. It was big, man.
They'll keep the rat population.
Man, I feel sorry for them. They go up against some rats in Lafayette Park. Have you ever seen them? I used to work at Reuters, man. We'd go back and forth to the live shots at the White House.
They had those big old holes like that, you know, and dust. You could see them when they're scrambling, you know, trying to go from one to the other. Man, I said, what the hell was that?
I don't think the Fox should take out one.
Look at the little ones.
Besides, the little ones are tasty. Supple.
Is that like veal?
Yes, exactly.
Rodent veal.
Yes. Okay, now you can begin.
Right by the door. As soon as
Yes,
I get back
I'm
there,
sorry.
you leave your chair.
Sure. Okay, what am I on? Am I on your, okay, I'm good? Okay. You scare me. Whoops.
Here you go.
Good morning, everyone. All across our country, communities are demonstrating their grief over the deaths of Eric Garner, Tamir Rice, and of course Michael Brown. For the most part, these demonstrations have been peaceful. Most currently, they have been peaceful. It is our hope that they will remain so, but the voices that are speaking out will be heard. Of course, our thoughts, our prayers, our hopes are with the families, and we take our lead from their guidance for peaceful demonstrations as well. I support President Obama's recent call for measures to increase trust between law enforcement and communities, and Attorney General Holder's call for federal investigations. It's very sad. All lives matter. And you see the sign saying that all lives matter. It should be a given. Let's hope that it is. Today, we have some good news with the jobs report. 321,000 jobs created in November, the 57th consecutive month of private sector job creation. 2009 in October, unemployment hit 10%. It is now under 6%, 5.8%. Average monthly job creation this year, including today's numbers, 241,000 jobs created. You recall that when the president took office, in terms of the impact of the Bush policies and the Great Recession, we were losing 800,000 jobs a month. Now we are gaining over 240,000 jobs a month. More jobs created in 11 months of this year than in any full calendar year since the late 1990s. We have to do more. We have to do more. Also, some good news on the Affordable Care Act, which is, of course, a main concern of mine. In terms of quality, patient safety improved from 2010 to 2013 in the following way. 1.3 million fewer hospital-acquired conditions. This is an important part of the legislation to stop infections and hospital conditions that made people worse. It resulted in saving 50,000 lives. Not only were people saved from the infection, but the condition, improving the condition, saved 50,000 lives and saved $12 billion in healthcare cost because of the fact that those funds were not needed because of the intervention for quality. Also, in terms of healthcare cost growth, you've heard me say over and over again that if there were no other reason to pass the Affordable Care Act, the sustainability of cost demanded that we do it. Cost to an individual, cost to a family, cost to a small business, corporate America, cost to local, state, and federal government. These costs, the rising costs, were totally unsustainable. So we're pleased to note that one important figure that has come out is there's an only 2% increase in benchmark civil health care plans. So, as I said, the rising cost in premiums, and people never knew what their premiums were going to be in the next year and how significant they would be. 2%, an average of 2% increase for benchmark civil health care plan, which is the benchmark that we use. Another figure, in the 2013 national health spending grew by 3.6%, which is a drastic, the lowest annual increase since the statistics began to be collected in 1960. 3.6%. This is, of course, has a big impact on reducing our deficit. 2011, 2012, 2013 are the three lowest years of growth in real per capita national health expenditures on record. So in terms of quality of care, in terms of cost to the individual and to the federal government, the news is very good. Yesterday, we had really a disastrous bill on the floor of the House, the Yoho immigration legislation. Even the Catholic Conference of Bishops, which usually is supportive of much of what the Republicans do, had urged a strong no vote on the legislation. And I took the occasion to quote President Reagan, which I could do again if you wish me to, about the importance when he, in 1984, in the lead up to the passage of the immigration bill that would follow, he said, "We're going to have compassion and legalize those who came here some time ago and have legitimately put down roots and are living as legal residents in our country, though illegal. Even though illegal, we're going to make them legal." His quotes are beautiful, and I could read them to you for a long time. A complete contradiction of what the Republicans put on the floor yesterday. I don't know if it will rear its ugly head again on the Cronobus, the so-called hybrid bill that the Republicans may be putting forth. We have extended the hand, as I've told some of you yesterday, the hand of friendship once again to the Speaker to say, let us help, as we did to open up government or to keep it from being shut down, as we did to lift the debt ceiling, as we did to implement the Ryan Murray budget in the continuing resolution last year. We haven't heard back, we haven't seen the bill, but there are some very destructive riders in it that would be unacceptable to us, and I think unacceptable to the American people. Whatever you think of them, they have no place on an appropriations bill. When it comes to lowering standards for school lunches for our children, whether it comes to lowering standards for clean water for our communities, why bring these up on an appropriations bill? Have the debate. Well, I'll answer the question. Why bring them up on the appropriations bill is because they can't take the light of day. Have this debate in a full view of the world, and it shows a big distinction in who cares about the nutrition of our children, the clean water for our families. It also has, these are really earmarks for industry. That's what they are. And they have workplace standards would be lowered, and they're making the workplace less safe for our workers. Whatever you may think of them, let's debate it outside an appropriations bill. We're not supposed to legislate on an appropriations bill, so we're eager to see what the bill will be. We look forward to finding common ground. It's really important that the Republicans not be frivolous once again about shutting down government, but they know that in order to have a bill pass, they either have to have all the votes. If they want ours, we can't support what they're doing on the bill, and they need a presidential signature. So we look forward to, now they talk a lot about transparency, but we still haven't seen the bill. It's supposed to be posted by Monday evening. Hopefully we will see it before then so that we can find our common ground on the bill. Any questions? Yes.
So walk us through.
Why do you let him do this all the time? I was looking at you and I didn't know what he was a ventriloquist or what. Is what.
I'll defer if you want.
Next.
Yeah, thank you. So lay out for us though what you're talking about these riots. Lay out.
Yeah.
Is it not funding for the entire year? Is it not cutting off DHS in March or February? Is it DC marijuana? Is it what are all these things that are
What we don't know.
Democrats can't provide
Well, let's say obviously it's going to be a compromise, but I have expressed concerns about treating the District of Columbia in a fair way, respecting home rule. We have all agreed on the top